Hello everybody, welcome back to Catch Up Court. I go by name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood catch up man, and thank you so much for tuning in for another recap. And we are now at the end of the presentation of evidence in the Donna Adelson trial. We've been covering that from day one, and the state has rested as well as the defense. So the state provided no rebuttal to the defense case in chief, and in all fairness, we're going to be talking about everything in regards to this testimony today on this to the witnesses that has been presented today by the defense, and a lot of the madness that has gone on. We are going to be asking the question: has Donna Adelson received a competent defense? Has it been a good defense? Has been presented. I have so much to talk about today, and I hope that every one of you that are here could be caught up with this case, and I want to hear all of your perspective as well. So let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Don't forget to hit that like button, as well as share this stream with your friends, family, aliens, whatever it might be. But yeah, so much to go through. But before we do that, I want to just get for those that may have just joined this stream for the first time, never heard this case, Donna Adelson is on trial for first degree murder of Dan Markel, who is Wendi Adelson, who is her daughter. Wendi Adelson's ex-husband. They were going through a bitter divorce, and that divorce, and as that divorce was going on, Dan Markel was unfortunately shot and killed by hitmen. And the allegation is that these hitmen were hired. Well, it was a murder for hire plot, and Donna was involved in the hiring of this hitmen, allegedly. So that's how we are here today. So like I said, we are going to be going through the key testimonies from the witnesses today. We're also going to be going through the timeline of events after we go through the witnesses after we go through those witnesses. But before we do go into that room, I just want to give a quick recap of all of the testimonies, all the key testimonies from day 1 to day 7, considering now that both state and the defense has rested, and we're gonna get the opening statements, not opening statements, the closing statements tomorrow. So let's continue on. From day 1, we of course know about James Gallagher. He was a 911 caller, and he just basically gave testimony as to what was happening before he had made the call. Apparently, he saw Dan Markel go into his garage, turn the car on, and just never drove out. He went to see him the first time. Everything seemed fine. He then went back the second time when he didn't drive out after a few minutes later, and that's when he discovered that he was shot. Sergeant David Sims was the officer on the scene. He also testified to putting up the crime scene tape and all of those things, securing the scene, as well as giving testimony that Dan was struggling to breathe. He was bleeding as he was shot in the head. Joanne Martiz was the crime scene specialist. Nothing really much from her testimony other than collecting the projectiles, and it was confirmed that the bullet belonged to a revolver which was used by Louis Rivera. He testified to the revolver being used. So that was Joanne Martiz's testimony. Craig Isom was the detective. He just gave testimony in regards to how Dan Markel was being tracked by the Prius, and by the Prius that was used to basically kill him. He was being tracked from the gym to his home, and that's where the killing had effectively happened. Then we heard from Louis Rivera. Very important testimony in my opinion, because he testified to there being 2 attempts to kill Dan, two hits. The first attempt did not go through in June when they were supposed to have killed him then. they saw him at a daycare dropping off his kids, and they thought, nah, we can't kill this man in front of his kids. We have to try again another day. So that's where we got to the second attempt, and it explains also the tracking that they were doing so that they could not lose him this time. That was the essence of his testimony, that they just wanted to make sure that they had it right this time because he was leaving the country. He testified also that that he was told by a woman called Kathryn McBanoa, who was dating his friend Sigfredo Garcia, that Kathryn McBanoa had told him that Wendi Adelson needs this job done because they need the kids to go to Wendi, because she needs the kids to basically be in her possession, So that was the essence of his testimony. That was so five witnesses was presented in day one. Day two was 4 witnesses, and we heard from Jason Newland, who basically examined the divorce filings. He went through all of the emails back and forth with Donna. We went through that in length. I'm not gonna go through it here, but there were some key ones where Donna was basically calling Dan Gibber, calling him calling him all sorts of names through the filings. There was also a lot of emails in regards to Dan not wanting to have the kids relocated, and how Donna was reacting after finding out that the motion to relocate had fallen through, so therefore the kids cannot relocate to South Florida as she wanted to live closer to the Adelsons. And we also saw emails where she escalated and basically said, you are getting those kids, I'm not going to give up, neither should you, etc. And these were communications between Wendi and Donna during the divorce. Then we heard from Wendi Adelson. It was a weird testimony in my opinion, because there were so many things that come out that just seemingly contradicted her testimony later on in the trial. But basically, just to give you a cliff notes, she basically testified into her relationship with Dan Markel, the divorce as well. She basically said that she was upset that the divorce had gone through, but Donna was more upset. She also said that Charlie Adelson had made a joke about hiring a hitman would be cheaper than getting a new TV or something like that. So something along those lines with those jokes. She also said that she never told Jeff Lacasse, who was the boyfriend that she was dating at the time, that Charlie Adelson had planned to hire a hitman. She also gave testimony in regards to meeting Kathryn McBanoa, but she didn't really know her that much. She also played down her involvement in regards to being at Dan Markel's house, near Dan Markel's house, when there was a blockade, and so many other testimony that if I was to go through, this would be a much longer recap than possible. But yes, she gave testimony. Robert Adelson was the next witness after Wendi, and this is the son of Donna Adelson, also a doctor, and he gave testimony in regards to Donna Adelson calling him and telling him not to speak with the FBI, and he basically thought that this was weird because after he had told Donna that he had already spoken with the FBI, Donna had basically said, well, you don't know anything anyway. He also said that I'm really forgetting right now. It's blanking from me. But that was the bulk of his testimony. If I do remember, I will call back to it. But there was a key testimony that he gave in regards to Donna Adelson. So the next witness was Officer Brandon. He just basically gave testimony in regards to seeing a car that looked like Wendi Adelson's vehicle. So apparently this vehicle did not ask any questions in regards to what had happened or anything like that. When they were told what had when they were there, the driver of the vehicle just basically pulled up, didn't ask any questions, didn't inquire or anything like that. Then we also heard from then that was the last testimony for day 2. Then day 3 saw 7 witnesses take the stand. I'll just quickly go through each of these witnesses. It was Jeff Lacasse that took the stand. This was Wendi Adelson's ex. Quick cliff notes. He just basically gave testimony that Charlie Adelson had basically that Wendi Adelson, had basically told him that Charlie had hired a hitman to basically try and take care of Dan Markel because she wanted the kids, and the motion to have the kids relocated had fell through. And he said that this testimony was basically weird, and it was a testimony that she had told him in confidence, basically saying that this was no joke. He also testified to also meeting Kathryn McBanoir as well, and Dan Markel being there when they were meeting Kathryn. I personally thought that his testimony gave a bit more context in regards to the fact that this is probably how Kathryn was able to identify Dan Markel so that they could easily trace him. So this gives a bit of weight considering what came out later on in the testimonies, and you'll see why it makes sense as we go on. June Umchinda, who was Charlie's girlfriend, gave testimony. Nothing really much of substance that could be gleaned from her testimony, only the fact that Charlie was acting frantic when the convictions and the arrests were going on for Sigfredo Garcia, Kathryn McBanoir, or all of those people at the time. That's basically what she was giving testimony to. Then we heard from Ryan Fitzgerald, who was a friend of Charlie Adelson. Again, nothing much from his testimony outside of the fact that that Charlie Adelson had basically had a couple of money in the safe. Then we heard from Marissel, who was the chief inspector at the general office. She was more she had a specialty in accounts and investigating financial fraud anyway, and working for the with law enforcement, aiding them with financial crimes investigations. And she just basically gave testimony in regards to the money that was being paid by the Adelson Institute to Kathryn McBanoir for 2 years. This started from her testimony. It started from August 2014 and ended, I believe, 31st of March 2016. So those were the payments that was going on with the Adelson Institute. She also testified to payments that was being made to Kathryn by Charlie and during the periods of 2015, and also after the payments had stopped. After the payments had stopped with the Adolson Institute. Then we also heard from her in regards to the money that was going around with the financial situation of the hitmen, Sigfredo Garcia and Louis Rivera. But yeah, that was the bulk of his testimony. Then we heard from Clarissa Sportor, who worked at the Adelson Institute as a as an healthcare assistant to RV Adelson. She has been working there for 40 years, and she just basically testified that she never heard of Kathryn McBanoir. Then we heard from Kathryn McBanoir herself, who gave testimony about Charlie approaching her to get if she knew men could get a job done. This approach was done. This approach had happened on Halloween 2013, and that's very key because when she had met Jeff Lacasse, this was around 2014, and that's when she had met Jeff Lacasse and Wendi Adelson when they were dating. So that was the substance of her testimony, and also, of course, gave testimony in regards to dropping the money off, in regards to hiring the hitman, in regards to dropping the money off, picking the money from Charlie Adelson's house after the hit was done. She also gave testimony in regards to Charlie communicating with his mom to just confirm how much is needed to be transferred over, etc. She also so we also heard from her that she turned down 2 plea deals and is basically coming now to tell the truth after she had lied previously. So that was the bulk of her testimony. Then we heard from Christopher Corbett, who was the last witness for day 3, and he just gave testimony in regards to the cell activity that was going on for the hitmen, and also for Charlie Adelson, as well as Kathryn McBanoa. And I don't believe we saw cell activity for Donna Adelson for the events of the 18th of July, but that was basically the bulk of his testimony. Before I go on to day 4, I'm just gonna say hi to the chat and welcome Kristin Fortunato. She has been a member of Heinz Condiment Island for 12 months. So shout out to you, Trial Channel. Nice to see you back again. Yes, make sure that you hit that like button. It would really help help us out with the algorithm. Betsy Pelham, welcome. I hope I'm saying your name right, but welcome to the stream. I think this is the first time I'm seeing you here. So she says, before the trial, I was unconvinced that Donna truly knew what happened, what was going to happen. Now that we've heard the state's case and the lack of a defense, I'm convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. Yes, I'll get into all of that, but I'm with you. But we will definitely be talking about all of this. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Let's get a conversation going. So let's continue on with the recap, because like I said, it's been 8 days of trial. There's been so many witnesses presented. I think up to 38, I think, or 36 in total. So there is a lot to basically recap you guys all on, now that the state and the defense has rested their case in chief. So like I said, Christopher Corbett continued his testimony on day 4. We saw six witnesses on day 4, and Christopher Corbett gave more testimony on this particular day to the communications around the Adelson residence when that Markel was being killed. There was so many messages being sent by Charlie, Wendi, and also Donna. Interestingly, I did point this out on yesterday's stream, that there was no cell activity for Donna and Charlie, despite them having these communications, but there was no cell activity presented. But nonetheless, that was they gave he being Christopher Corbett also presented cell activity for the travels of Donna and Harvey Adelson on the 8th after the killing, and also communications with Charlie and Kathryn, going to the house, going to Charlie's residence. This is when the money drop was basically happening. According to Christopher Corbett, Donna was likely there for at least 1 hour 6 minutes, and that was the bulk of his testimony. And he also testified in regards to the wiretap that was done, and this wiretap taking place sometime in April 20th. So that was the bulk of his testimony. So then we heard from the undercover FBI agent who just gave testimony in regards to the role that he played. He said that he played the role of a gangster, and he was just trying to basically, and he explained what the bump was, where he would go in and try to explain, or not explain, but shake the tree and see what falls out, basically. So and that was the bulk of his testimony, really. Then we heard from Louise Bronstein, who was the FBI special agent that basically set it all up. He was the one to basically give testimony in regards to why they had conducted this particular bump, and why they are chosen the story that they did with the undercover agent. And he basically gave testimony that Louis Rivera was in jail at the time. So they had put up the undercover agents to pretend to know that Louis has been incarcerated, looking for money, etc. Then we heard from James McKelvin, who was a forensic scientist. Nothing really special, just the editing that was done, the compression that was done to extract the audio, make it more audible, and also clean up the video surveillance as well of all of the wiretaps. Then we heard from Byron Kendall, who was testifying to the undercover that they had done when they went into the restaurant, and also testified that they had been identified by Charlie and Harvey when they were at the restaurant. So they were basically compromised at this point. Then we heard from Patrick Sanford, who basically brought Christmas to everybody and dropped the wiretap. So this was the FBI special agent, the lead investigator in this particular case, and we got to hear a lot of the wiretaps from when we heard the wiretaps when when the bump first happened, and the FBI agents giving the letter to Donna Adelson, and then what happened from Donna after she received the letter. Just like the state had theorized in their opening statements, they basically said that she called Charlie immediately. Then Charlie went on to speak with Kathryn McBanoa, and he basically told Kathryn McBanoa that the person that I went to the FBI agent, the FBI, the blackmailer, for the purposes of this recap, I'm gonna call the FBI agents blackmailer. So the blackmailer had basically said that they knew one of his ex-girlfriends. Of course, the blackmailer didn't say this, because the blackmailer had said that Katie, you are taking care of Katie, Tito or Tato, or whatever the name was. So we are going to so I need you to take care of me as well. So Charlie went on to relay this information to Kathryn. They met up at a restaurant where you could overhear him. Well, based on the transcripts, you could hear that he was talking about the possibility of taking out the hitman and killing the hitman. And of course, we heard on the opening statements that this was explored until they found out that they were being watched. So that was day 4. Day 5, he was the only witness. We got to hear more wiretaps covering the period of the 21st to the 5th. I believe the 5th of May when the call was made. So I'm not going to go through all of the testimonies, but just the key ones. The 23rd and the 21st to the 25th was them talking, and was Charlie, Kathryn, and Donna basically communicating and starting to figure out that this person might be an undercover agent. After they had send the police on a wild goose chase on one of when Charlie was supposed to meet with Kathryn at the marina. But however, they went to a different location that they had discussed through WhatsApp. So the agents were not able to intercept and get their communications. After the 25th, when they had met at the restaurant, after the 25th, they had figured out that it was the police, that it was the undercover agents. Charlie made the first call to the number, pretending to essentially be shocked that he's being blackmailed, etc. Then Garcia makes a call to the number that the FBI agent had given him. And then Donna Adelson on the 5th of May makes the phone call to the FBI agent saying that he should go and claim the 100K reward, or 100K reward, rather than ask them for 5,000. So so that was basically the testimony that we heard from day 5. He, like I said, he was the only witness. He came back on day 6 with and there was 5 witnesses, including him, in total for this particular day. For Patrick Sanford just closed off his testimony, testifying to more communications that we had seen in regards to, and this was to basically rebut the idea that Kathryn was basically extorting the Adelsons, and they were showing conversations of the Adelson, of Charlie and Kathryn having a normal conversation. Not just that, they were also, from, if memory serves, this was the same period that they had discovered that Donna that Donna was speaking with Charlie on the phone after he had lost, before he had lost his trial and he was convicted, and she was basically losing it on the phone, asking, and this was at the same time when Wendi had basically communicated with her, saying that they should go through the lawyers, but in regards to Patrick Sanford's testimony, he also said that they intercepted a call. They intercepted Wendi going to the airport to leave the country because of the fact that that she had booked a flight to Vietnam, and they got a warrant immediately to go for her arrest. This and of course, this was something that was brought up in the opening statements. Then we heard from Jonathan Grossman, who just gave testimony in regards to searching the Adelson's residence on the 23rd of November 2023, and the warrant that was served to Donna Adelson on the 13th of November 2023. So that was the bulk of his testimony. Then we heard from Patricia Bird, and this is when everything, and I mean everything, went to complete hell, complete shite, because we heard here that she knew, Patricia Bird, who was Donna's jailmate when she was in prison, that she knew Kathryn McBanoa, and this was when Donna had basically told her that this was not supposed to go this far, that they were just trying to get the kids, that they just wanted the kids to relocate, that it was never meant to go this far. Okay, so that was the testimony. We also heard from cross-examination that she had lied in the past or something like that. So, I mean, there was nothing really of note, but that was the bulk of her testimony. Then we heard from Drina Bernhardt, who was also Donna's jailmate. She also knew Kathryn McBanoa, and she also gave testimony in regards to Donna instructing her what to write and what to say if she was to ever be called to testify in her trial. Then we heard from Christopher Corbett, who was recalled to the stands. This is when we got the communications. This is when we got communication to go back and to the messages that was being sent to by Wendi Adelson to Donna, saying that she should keep that she should contact her legal team. That all she did was tell the truth in the Charlie Adelson trial. We also saw communications from Donna saying that the truth is out, that they were being blackmailed. The truth is out, messaging so many people. But not just that, she also messaged. I believe it was Wendi on the 4th, saying that they're gonna that you told the truth, that we should have prayer hands, and also that not just tell the truth, but also the most important damning thing was she's saying that they're coming for me next, and I'm going to take care of it. So that was the last witness for day 6, Christopher Corbett. And then we got to day 7. The state had rested on day 6. We got to day 7, and this was the presentation of the evidence from the witnesses. And oh gosh, this is when you have to ask a lot of questions. But the chat is lively. Let me just quickly speak to Betsy Pelham, who basically said, "I'm still confused what the defense is. They're going to try and say in closing that Donna wasn't upset and the divorce wasn't a contentious issue. Maybe she's hoping for ineffective counsel of appeal." Honestly, I don't think she even has a shot in regards to that. Like, I mean, I don't know how successful those appeals are like, because the only thing that she could have objected to that the legal team did not do, maybe this is where she might have something, because they should have really made a big deal in regards to the procedural error that was done in disclosing certain piece of evidence to them, that they could have argued it for the record. But the fact that they declined to argue it, maybe she can argue that was ineffective counsel. Maybe that's why they done it. Maybe it was deliberate. Maybe Donna told them not to do it. I have no idea. I'm speculating hella hard, but it was. I always find that moment like glaringly stupid, because any lawyer worth their salt would have at least made the argument for the record to at least let them know that the client does not agree with the prosecution acting in this way. But the waiving of it seems like it's a viable option for appeal. It does seem like it. But anyway, let's go back to the quick recap and the day 7 witnesses. This was 8 witnesses. 8 witnesses took the stand. It was Annie Cunningham, who was a friend of Donna Adelson. She just basically testified that Donna was suicidal, and she just said that that they wanted to clear their head because they are because of the conviction that Charlie Adelson had, that they just wanted to go away and clear their head. That's why they went to Vietnam. So that was the bulk of her testimony. Then we heard from Ron Gutterson, who was a friend of Harvey Adelson, and he was quiet gentleman, but he just gave testimony in regards to Harvey being a wreck and Donna being a wreck. That's just the bulk of his testimony. There were just character witnesses to plead to Donna's state of mind. Then we heard from Kelsey Guy, who just gave testimony in regards to the duplicates that was found in Christopher Corbett's presentation, if you remember it. And that was the bulk of it. Like, what I expected to see from her testimony was just a presentation of communications that may have not been in the record, that could be favorable to Donna, as well as that cell site activity. Maybe the defense could have subpoenaed for that cell site, but for some reason that didn't happen. But we got to hear testimony that law enforcement, they have control over that, and the state could have introduced cell site activity to do with the house. So of course the defense doesn't have a burden. I do understand, but it just doesn't make sense why you bring this witness in to say something like that, and yet you don't try to put on your case to basically exonerate your client, basically to rebut what has been presented by the state. I don't understand it. Then Annie Cunningham was recalled. She was on her way to the airport. She was recalled to basically give testimony in regards to using Viber to basically call Wendi. This was to rebut the issue that occurred in Kelsey Guy's analysis, because she had said that the call to Wendi by Donna was a duplicate, and it didn't really happen. And that's where Christopher Colbert had made a mistake. So they had to bring Annie back in to testify in regards to using Viber, and it was a funny exchange. It meant nothing in the end. So I don't know why this happened. Then we got to hear from defense witness Richard Chardrin, who also gave testimony in regards to Harvey's state of mind. He also said that he was the one to suggest that they go to Vietnam. Forget the Google searches that we saw on Christopher Colbert's testimony. That was it. I forgot that most important fact. Christopher Colbert's testimony had found Google searches that was made by Donna to go to Vietnam. And this Google search was basically a extradition list, a treaty list containing countries that you couldn't get extradited from. So Richard Cargren basically gave testimony to that to say that that he was the one to basically suggested to the Adelsons to basically go on this vacation to Vietnam. That's basically the bulk of his testimony. Then we heard from Tarana Khan, who was the communication specialist, testifying to interviewing Patricia Bird, who was the jailmate, and basically saying the bulk of her testimony was that there was no offer from Donna. There was no testimony about Donna offering Patricia Bird veneers, money, all of those incentives, that there was nothing like that Patricia had reported to her, and Tarana was not offered any of those things as well to go and investigate. Then we heard from Eddie Vance, who also investigated Patricia Bird, and something weird happened on cross-examination, which was the fact that he had basically said that Patricia Bird had told him that Kathryn McBanoa was extorting the Adelsons, and the state made it a point to basically say that they made a point to basically say that particular event. Damn! I'm just forgetting. My mind just went blank for a bit. The state made it a point to basically say, why didn't you record that event? Why didn't you record that event and do a follow-up interview and all those things? And he said that he was not instructed to record that event. And of course, the state was saying this is exonerating for Donna. Why would that not happen? And then we got to hear that Patricia was actually on the defense witness list with the old counsel. Then we heard from Josh Turner, who just went through the CCTV, and it was just shown that even though we heard from the handwriting specialist, Kate Butler, on day 6, who said that the handwriting was done by Donna on the jailmates on the instruction that was given to Drina Bernhardt. We got to hear here that it was actually Drina to approach Donna first, and she had the notebook ready beforehand and then approached Donna. I mean, I see what the defense were trying to do to say that it was her idea, because we got to hear that the video was shot on the 19th, and then she went to the police on the 20th. On cross, we got to hear that on the 18th, she had already reported that Donna was soliciting was soliciting, was trying to solicit her to testify on her behalf. So that was the bulk of day 7 testimony. We went through that in detail yesterday. You can go find the recaps in the description. So let's go. Oh, that was a lot. So I didn't think that recap would take that long, but I hope that you're now all caught up with the case, because we're now going to go to today's witnesses. So today, only 3 witnesses testified. Kristin Adamson, who was Wendy's former lawyer during the divorce case, gave testimony. Then we heard from expert witness Linda Bailey, who was tendered as an expert of family law. And then we heard from the last witness, Marissel Descalzo, and she was the attorney for Donna Adelson around the time of 2023. So we are going to now dive into all of this, into all that had happened today. Church, I know I hate you. I hate you. Yes, we finally got here. So now, before we even go to his testimony, more madness ensued at the start, because the defense were saying that they were trying to bring in a witness to come in and testify. I believe she worked for the police department, and for some reason she wasn't allowed. They were arguing that she wasn't allowed to testify because the police were encouraging her not to testify for the defense. So they had to bring in the sheriff to basically come and speak to all of this, and they basically said no, she was allowed to testify, and she has not been dissuaded from speaking with the defense, and they could call her if they could get a subpoena to her to come in and testify. And the defense just went, no, we're not gonna do that. We just got misinformation, and that was it. So were you trying to? It boggles my mind, because I don't know whether they were even trying to introduce this. Why they were trying to introduce this witness? Why they would pursue it in the first place if she had nothing of value to give? That's ineffective counsel argument could be made. I have no idea. But anyway, going on to Kristin Adamson's testimony, the direct examination was done by Judge Zelman, and she just basically gave testimony in regards to all of the time that she had helped Wendi through her divorce, and she testifies that she wouldn't consider that the divorce between Wendi and Dan Markel to have been a bitter divorce, and she saw it more as, and she saw the relocation motion that was made by Wendi to be a win or lose situation, rather than what happens in a normal course of a divorce, which is basically a split the baby scenario. And she also gave testimony that she always tells her clients that relocation is difficult to achieve, but it's a 50-50 shot that deserves to be pursued. And she informed Wendi that this is the one shot that she had to get the relocation, and this was with the relocation motion. She also, within this questioning, she also explains that the argument of detriment, which is something that came up during the relocation, and the options that they were exploring, to basically say that it was hard to prove, as they will need to show abuse, children failing in school, etc. So to me, this testimony kind of seemed, at least this answer that she gave, it kind of seemed like why Wendi had alleged that Dan was abusing her, because we got to hear that from the testimony of Craig Newland in the on day 2. She also explains that relocations are hard to win, and she has only won one case where the client has successfully argued a motion to relocation. And she also believed that Wendi had a good shot of winning due to the family being in Florida already, and also Dan's constant movement for his work, that it was never going to be easy. So, but we know that Wendi ended up losing, so I don't know the value of this particular line of questioning. She also testifies to the hearing that they had on the relocation issue, and the person that had offered her a job and showed why the relocation would have been approved. She also explains that the judge had rejected the motion, saying that Wendi had not met the burden of proof necessary, that the move was only in the best interest of the kids. So she hadn't met that burden to show how the move was in the best interest of the kids. She also explains that Wendi's parents were at the hearing but only in the lobby, and explains that Wendi was upset in regards to losing this particular motion, but she just moved on with it because she is a lawyer herself, and she explained and she was explained to in regards to the legal ramifications, and they are just continued speaking at the mediation after the relocation was finalized. So in response to the question of Wendi offering financial incentives to Dan Markel, we went through all of that because the state was framing it as to be something of like a bribery or something like that, but she basically gave testimony that it wasn't a bribery or anything like that, that is actually quite normal in family law, that they would usually get things like that. They will that she usually handles things like that in a mediation, that they will have many scenarios that they pitch to the other party to try and reach a favorable settlement. This also helps with her split the baby scenario that she was mentioning earlier. She also testifies to Wendi getting, this was the funny part, Wendi getting her groove back party, that she had a party to get her groove back, and she was invited to it, but she didn't go. And she also testifies that Dan Markel was aware of the non-marital portion of the assets, so, and that Wendi would get the case, and it was settled within a week. So this gives the idea that the assets issue that became this gives an idea that the assets that became an issue later on in the divorce, that this particular that the assets already were already ironed out, and he knew what was going on. She also testifies that they tried to get Dan Markel to pay the divorce settlement agreement, but he didn't want to, and he had obtained a new lawyer who had argued that he doesn't have to pay the money because Wendi had not disclosed certain assets, and alleged her of committing fraud, even going as far as to reporting her to the bar, and had filed pleadings for this. So she went on to also explain that she believed that Dan Markel was not going to be successful with all of these pleadings based on how it was written, and she guessed that it was written by Dan Markel himself. And she also testifies that Donna was not involved in any of the hearings and had only spoken with Donna and Harvey when they came to one of the hearings regarding the relocation hearing, and said that they were out in the hallway. The cross-examination was conducted by Sarah Dugan, and she just basically gave testimony in regards to the fact that she had done filings for she was the one that had done relocation filings. This question was around the email that we got to hear on day 2 from Craig Newland, where Wendi would send an email to Donna asking for edits, and she would send the email back, but Kristin basically did not have any knowledge of this email, saying that she was the one that was drafting all the filings, and it's possible that whatever Donna was telling her to relay from Wendi, I'm not sure I'm using that right. So Wendi will receive information from Donna, then relays it to her to tell her what to put in the drafts. She said that it's likely that this was the most likely scenario, but she doesn't recollect Donna actually being directly involved in drafting the filings because she was doing that. She also says that she didn't have knowledge of Wendi messaging Donna messaging Donna about the jeepers or all of those things, that she doesn't know about those emails. And when she was asked if Donna and Harvey were potential witnesses during the relocation hearing, she says that she doesn't actually know if they were witnesses, but it wouldn't be out of place for parents to attend these things, and she thought that they were nice people. She also says that she doesn't know how Donna had felt when the relocation motion was denied, and she says that it's true that Dan Markel had accused Wendi of non-compliance. This was to kind of clean up the fact that Dan was alleging fraud. This was to give a bit of an idea that maybe he was alleging fraud because Wendi on her hand was not complying with what he was asking for. The state also highlights that her comment that it was not a contentious divorce, she basically said, how can you have things like Dan alleging fraud, trying to get her disbarred, and also alleging that her lawyer, herself, Kristin, was involved in the fraud, and she had to and basically meaning that she had to withdraw from the case. How can you then say at that point that it wasn't contentious? And she says that these are normal things that happen during the course of the trial, of a divorce hearings, etc. So it is something to be expected. It doesn't necessarily mean contentious. So on redirect exam, she basically said that they had a hearing on the 15th of May 2014 that would have continued if he that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't made allegations of fraud. So this particular hearing was to basically go through the assets that they made. So we got to hear the next witness testimony, who was Linda Bailey. Before this, she had basically sat in the courtroom. This was the second witness to sit in the courtroom to hear testimonies in regards to what the witnesses had testified to, and the judge, the state went for a motion to basically exclude her from giving testimony, but the judge declined it and said that would be an extreme approach, which I personally agreed with. And we got to hear her testimony, but it was in the record that she had heard witness testimonies. She testified that she went to law school with Wendi's lawyer, Kristin Adamson. And I thought that this was weird. I don't know why this would be a thing. Like, why would you get in a case where you're trying to where Donna Adelson is being alleged to be this mastermind, that she has people saying what she wants them to say and all these things. Having these familiar people coming to testify on her behalf to say that these are good people, etc. I don't think it helps. I mean, they could have got any other expert, any other family law expert to come and give testimony, but for some reason they got the friend of Donna's lawyer. Sorry, not Donna's lawyer. Sorry, Wendi's lawyer. They got I don't know what this was, but anyway, she said that she has known her for 30 years and went to law school with her, and she was given as she was tendered as an expert witness, meaning that she can give opinions. And she testifies that she didn't see anything in the files that suggests that Wendi was trying to get Dan to not have some substantial time sharing, and not trying to prevent Dan from spending time with the kids. And she explains what a parenting coordinator's role was and how they are handled during a marital settlement agreements, and if any violations had occurred, how they would be, be in place. So the bulk of that testimony was just to say that they're there to keep the peace. It's nothing really serious, because we got to hear that from the emails about the family coordinator, but we never really know what it's about or whether she was a party for Dan or for Wendi. But we now got to know that it was a neutral party. She testifies that she testifies to the gibbers comments, and she said that she just thought that it actually meant someone who spoke gibberish based on what Dan was filing. And I thought that this was weird. I thought this was weird. I was like, why are you focusing on these facts? But anyway, moving on. She testifies that the marital settlement was favorable to Wendi, and says it was only favorable because Dan had filings that were unwinnable, so he didn't get his demands and later acquiesced, dismissing his filings and agreeing to the settlement terms, which was when the divorce was finalized. And she testifies that it's pretty common to pay money to have Dan relocate, so basically building on what was already testified to, that is pretty common was testified to by Adamson, by Kristin, that is pretty common for money to be given for Dan to relocate, and says that Wendi have always understood that the relocation motion was denied, as she had waived her right to appeal. She also testifies that Dan was alleging fraud, and she thought that this was basically baseless, because she says that he had opportunities to file motion to compel and to support the fraud allegations and how it would have impacted him, which was required. It was required for him to have shown steps that Wendi had taken to commit this fraud, how Wendi was moving money around, all of these things, but Dan didn't basically do that. She also testifies that Dan had filed for total control and parenting decisions, and says that he had filed this incorrectly, which is why she thought that it wouldn't have been he wouldn't have won that motion. And she also gave testimony in regards to the grandmother motion that was filed by Dan on the 13th of March 2014, and says that Dan never actually requested Donna, that Donna does not have permission to see the kids. And the most important, but her testimony, in my opinion, was very, yes, I get it. It was systematic, straight to the point, everything that was, everything that's needed. But the cross-examination from Georgia Cappleman was really mind-blowing, because she just bring up the issues that would go on in divorce pleadings and asked her whether it would have any emotional toll. Let's watch this part of testimony, because I thought that this was particularly interesting.
They weren't? How do you know?
From the plea.
Let me go back a bit.
And child custody is the offensive materials in the.
Go back a little bit.
Hey, this is no big deal. This is no problem.
Bit more.
To what Mr. Markel would file, the job as lawyers is to explain to our clients when we get a motion. If I get something, for example, that, although I've never had, something similar to what Mr. Markel would file, the immediate response is to call your client and go, I know you're going to read this at first glance, so it's going to seem messy. But there's no legal basis for this, so don't worry. And my understanding is that is what she communicated to Wendi.
And when you communicate these things to your clients, hey, this is no big deal, this is no problem, this is a bunch of gibberish, do they always accept that?
Well, that's not the way I would present it, but.
Do they ever get upset about the gibberish in the pleadings, the offensive materials in the pleadings, regardless of whether or not it's going to impact their chance of success in court? It can be emotionally charged, can it?
I would say annoying more than emotionally charged.
You would not say that divorce and child custody issues are emotionally charged?
They can be, but in this case, they weren't.
They weren't? How do you know?
From the pleadings, because I don't have 10,000 pages in front of me.
You're not in the mind of the people whose lives are impacted by these pleadings. It's not just about pieces of paper and a binder, is it?
I don't think that's what I said.
People's lives are impacted by the decisions that go on in court, which for you are routine. Would you agree?
In this instance, they reached agreement on all issues, so they had complete control of what was coming out of the court.
Ma'am, could you please answer my question? Are people's lives impacted in drastic ways by routine matters that we see in court as lawyers?
People's lives change after divorce, certainly.
So, like, I may think I've got a bag of stinky garbage, but the garbage man might not think it's stinky at all. Do you get the reference?
I don't.
What is no big deal to us is a big deal to these litigants, right? You can't agree with that.
Perhaps.
You can't agree with it. Strike the question. You were asked.
This was the moment that you just have to, in my opinion, this is the moment that if you are an expert, you just have to kind of turn the blinkers off a little bit and just, she has been direct. She has been systematic, which I thought that she had given good testimony for the defense. I'm going to speak in regards to these two witnesses after I've gone through the cross-examination and the redirect. But this was the moment that I thought, at the very least, you could concede. You could actually just say, yeah, it can be. Unfortunately, sometimes it does go overboard. I may have the feeling that it wasn't like that in this particular case, but yeah, I could see why Dan would be frustrated by not having the marital assets go his way. I can also see him being happy that the relocation request was accepted. Things like that I don't see anything that's wrong with that, because as an expert, all this cross-examination did to me, at least in my opinion, was make her look extremely biased, which you're not supposed to be as an expert witness. You're supposed to at least be unbiased to all this. And I thought that she could have handled this a lot better. Honestly, because she was at ease when she was on direct examination. So I can see how she may have been blinkered to the emotional cues, because there were some times in a direct examination that I thought, okay, maybe you shouldn't say this thing, maybe you should be a bit more sensitive, maybe you shouldn't laugh at certain parts. But at the same time, I felt like the defense done a good job in trying to make her in trying to make her be a bit more at ease to give her testimony. So when it comes to this part, at least calm down. You're not wrong by saying that you don't see anything that was going on in this divorce to be contentious. You're not wrong by saying that. But obviously Georgia going the way she did made her feel as if she was being I forgot the word, not challenged, but it made her feel offended. There is a specific term, but anyway, I'm gonna continue on with the cross-examination, which Georgia was basically highlighting that these things are not routine, to basically give the idea that it just helps their theory. Because the reason why this expert is brought in, I'm guessing, is to basically say that there's no way that it could have risen to the level of murder, because it wasn't actually that bad. Things were actually flowing through, and it was just unfortunate that Dan Markel was killed in the manner that she did. But the way that Georgia has approached this has brought it right back to show that maybe it really was more stressful, at least for for the people involved. Let's continue on with the cross.
Let me ask you this. Let's go on to something else. Have you ever had people get murdered or commit suicide based on the issues that are going on in your family law litigation?
I've never had anyone murdered. I had in one instance a Middle Eastern person committed suicide just because there was a divorce, and that was shameful. So nothing was it was literally the day after the petition was filed, and he had threatened, if you file, I'm going to kill myself, and indeed he did.
And to you, divorce is not shameful, is it?
To me, divorce is not shameful.
Divorce is not a basis to commit suicide, is it?
Not according to me, but I didn't grow up in Iran or wherever this custom or feeling.
Exactly, Ms. Bailey.
Right.
To that person, it was a reason to commit suicide, right?
Apparently so.
You could have just copped this up on your own.
Aren't these issues raised in these pleadings potential fuel to make people upset?
Potential fuel to possibly make people upset?
Yes, ma'am. For example, you were asked about what we've called the grandma motion. You say, oh, it's no big deal, it wouldn't be granted, it was buried in there. But the allegation is, grandma is disparaging me to these kids, and I won't tolerate it, right? Couldn't that be upsetting to grandma?
You'd have to ask grandma. I don't know.
Exactly.
It shouldn't have been. There was no proof.
This is like, you can tell that that Georgia has gotten under her skin, and this is why I thought, why would you bring this expert in who is already close with the lawyer? Of course, this is likely a family friend, of course. So there is that inherent bias already attached to it, but at the same time, she just couldn't. She also is the type of person, I believe, that just has to be right in every situation. That's what I gathered, because she didn't have to make that comment that she just made right here. She didn't have to, and yet she did. Like, there was no proof. Why is that you're not on trial? Neither are you supposed to be. I know you're a defense witness, but you're not supposed to. At least, it's not your place to decide what's facts or what's proof or not. It's just, okay, this happened. Like, especially with her being a lawyer, she knows that redirect is coming. Compose yourself and wait for your counsel to rehabilitate you. But like, I don't understand what was going on here, because like I said, I've never been in court. So I don't know what pressure people are under, but if I was there, I really would have given the testimony to basically say, listen, yeah, Dan may have been upset by losing his motions to have the assets. That didn't go his way, but he also could have been elated that he had, of course, won the motion to have the relocation denied. Handled, done. Georgia would have nowhere to move after that.
Shouldn't have been, in your opinion.
In my opinion.
But in your opinion, divorce is no reason to commit suicide, right?
True.
Use her example against her.
Gibbers, according to the evidence in this case, means Jew in boots. It's not a flattering term by that definition or by your definition of someone that speaks gibberish. Can we agree it's not a flattering term?
No, it's probably not flattering, but I've seen far, far worse.
You've seen worse.
I have.
If Mr. Markel wasn't paying by the deadline, isn't that something that would be potentially upsetting to the parties or their family members?
I don't know how upsetting $80,000 would be. I don't know.
$80,000 is a lot of money, isn't it, Miss Bailey?
It depends on who you are.
Exactly. So we'd have to ask the parties, right? Right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think on that issue, he clearly had the asset, so at the end of the day, he was going to pay. It was just a matter of jumping through hoops to get the money.
He was either going to pay, or he was going to get sanctioned by the court, or he was going to end up in jail, right?
I don't see any possibility he was going to end up in jail.
Okay, well, you sat in the courtroom during Ms. Adamson's testimony,
I did.
didn't you?
I
And Ms.
did.
Adamson said that that was one alternative, an extreme alternative, obviously, but that's what contempt means, right?
But that
Ultimately.
wouldn't even come into play until the motion for enforcement, and then he didn't abide by that, and then the judge asked him to do something else, and then he didn't abide by that. I think jail was pretty far-fetched.
Well, as long as he pays. Ultimately,
Oh,
the
sorry
teeth
about that.
is you go to jail.
No, that's not true.
It's not true. Okay. Ms.
yeah.
Adamson was incorrect on that point, I guess.
Objection, Your Honor. It's not a question I need to strike.
I'll rephrase it.
Was the objection again?
It's an improper comment on the witness's testimony.
Okay, so like she's just, in my opinion, she's the worst. I mean, she's just not a people person. You can tell that she testified to earlier when she was being proffered, well, after the proffer, and she was giving testimony in regards to her background, as she obviously teaches a lot of people how to in regards to conducting family law. You can basically tell that she just has more of that experience and maybe has not been in this scenario before. Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just bad. It's just bad in my opinion. But this part was where I thought exemplifies all that we saw through the cross-exam, because there was the way that she had explained how Jan Markel was killed, how she had approached that was honestly deplorable. Let's watch.
Motion. So had that not been filed, they would have
Let me go back here.
set for hearing May 15th. And then Mr. Markel amped it up again, and on May 5th, he filed the motion that accused Kristin of fraud. So she had to withdraw, so they had to move that motion. So had that not been filed, they would have had a resolution on May 15th.
We don't know that. How do you know it was going to go on May 15th? Could have gotten continued for any zillion different reasons, couldn't it?
It was set for May 15th, and it was noticed for May 15th.
Set for May 15th, but at the time of Dan Markel's murder, litigation was still ongoing in this case.
It
Yes? Yes. And even after that was resolved, there would be nothing stopping them from having a bunch of other time-sharing issues or whatever come up, and they might have ended up with reams of paper, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Overruled. The witness has provided an opinion. The state
Well-
will cross-examine.
I guess my
It's-
response to that would be, I think it would have been to Wendy's benefit to proceed with those hearings, because nothing makes someone stop filing nonsense pleadings and motions better than having them ordered to pay the other side's attorney's fees. So had they gone to the hearing on May 15th, and had Wendi have been successful, he would have very likely had to pay Wendy's attorney's fees. And I really encourage my clients in these situations to take it to hearing. So once the other side gets kind of slapped down, if you will, by the court and made to pay your fees, then they tend to back off. So
But that hadn't happened yet,
it had not happened yet.
and we'll never know when that was going to happen, because we never got to that point, right?
Clearly,
Because he was murdered.
clearly.
Yeah,
Rattled. Absolutely rattled. Because, I mean, either she has never been at a murder case or never been in that scenario where she had to give testimony. But for you to answer clearly in front of the jury, rather than something like, it's unfortunate, but yes, he couldn't control, he's not going to go forward. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it would have continued. It's unfortunate that Dana had died in the manner that he did, but likely the hearing would have ended everything, or it's unfortunate. I don't know. Clearly, I mean, yeah, it's obvious that Dan is dead, but the jury kind of like at that point they could have been like, we've heard enough from the defense. Who knows? On redirect, there was, this is your own witness, trash on cross-examination, and the only thing that that the defense does is go up there and basically ask the question. I'm just gonna quickly go to it so that you guys can see. There we go.
You sat through Kristin Adamson's testimony earlier today, correct?
I did.
Did that in any way influence your testimony here this morning?
No, there was no new information.
Nothing further.
Will this witness be recalled at any point?
Even she was surprised. You can tell that she was thinking. Like, maybe you can do a bit better than that. But that the whole purpose of these two witnesses coming to testify was just to give a bit more context to what was going on in the divorce, to basically show that it was not as contentious as the state is leading us to believe, that it was actually a run-of-the-mill kind of divorce. And I thought that they done well in establishing that in the first place. But this witness just came in. Well, when I say this witness, I mean Linda Bailey just came in and just bulldozed all of that hard work that I believe that Adamson had done, or Adamson, Adamson, I think her name is, that Kristin had basically done to set the idea that a lot of the divorce wasn't actually all that bad, that it was just like certain things do not go your way. At least from her testimony, that we got the idea that it was more equal. But like I can see why Georgia decided to do this one rather than Sarah Dugan. But I still feel like even though they had got these witnesses out and done this, I still think that the most important thing that at least should have, if they had communications where, like, I would say at least it was good that Donna never actually had communications with Wendy's lawyer. At least that part was good, because if she did, then that is direct involvement. But at the very least, I can say, at least with the play that they were going for, that communications with Wendi and Donna does not suggest that she had an overarching, she had an interest in the divorce, but at least she didn't have a controlling role, because the attorneys were sorting that out. So I do feel like there was some benefit to having them come on, but they needed more, in my opinion. And out of the jury's presence after this testimony, we got to hear that Donna needed more time to decide whether she was going to testify or not. So they gave an early break, and she said that she wasn't ready to basically testify, that she said that her team said that she wasn't ready to testify, and they need more time to basically sort that out. And the judge just went, you had so much time, why didn't you sort that out at the time? So he didn't entertain giving more time to confer with attorneys whether she should give testimony. And then we got to hear from the next witness, who goes by the name of Marissel Descalzo, and she just basically gave testimony in regards to being Donna Adelson's attorney. Donna Adelson's attorney when she was in custody, before she got into police custody. We also got to hear testimony in regards to the mental state. When she had found out that Charlie was convicted, she basically reported to them she basically reported to them that she being Donna. So Donna basically reported to Marissel that she was gonna take her own life, and then Marissel reported to Charlie's lawyer, and they basically decided that they were basically conferring with each other, trying to decide whether they should report her into a psychiatric hold, or in the words that she used, have a Baker acted. And then she said, she says that Harvey was the one that was suggesting for her to take a holiday rather than go to a psychiatric hold, and they agreed that this was a bad choice. And this is where I was like, okay, so we have two people that suggested going on holiday. It was Charles Chagrin. We heard testimony from that basically said, that he was the one that gave the suggestion. Now we heard from the attorney that Harvey was the one that gave the suggestion. So what's going on here? Was it Chagrin first to Harvey, then Harvey to these guys? What would have helped is trying to get the dates in all of this to kind of show the timeline of events, dates and times, all those things. We didn't have that. So I'm left wondering how do all these things coincide? Because you can't have Chagrin give the suggestion and also have Harvey be the one giving the suggestion. So there's a bit of conflict here with the testimonies that we have already heard. She also says that Rushbaum, who was Charlie's lawyer, had told her there was no outstanding warrants because they had gone to search to find out if they had any travel restrictions, and they said that there was no travel restrictions impacting Donna from leaving the country, and says that this was and she says that they only did this, or they only went on vacation due to her comments about terminating her life. That was it. So of course they're trying to go ahead and try to explain away that extradition list, and we got to hear on cross-examination that that law enforcement does not have to inform people that they're issuing warrants. She agrees with this, and she also says that it would have been a violation when she was asked the question whether she had reported the Donna wanting to take her life to the bar. Why didn't she report that? She said that it would have been a violation of the attorney-client privilege to report her to the bar. So she was trying to handle it without breaking confidentiality. She also says that she had no knowledge of a text where Donna had said that she is next and I will take care of it when the state confronted her with this fact. So she didn't have anything to do with that. Let's go to the redirects, because I thought that this was a particularly good move for the defense to bring up in regards to the extradition and visiting Vietnam. Let's watch.
Or going to a non-extradition country.
Let me go back a little bit. There you go.
And the state also asked you about fleeing or going to a non-extradition country. Have you, in your career, dealt with extradition from foreign countries?
Yes, I have.
And merely because someone is in a non-extradition country, does that prevent the United States from attempting to seek their return or their extradition to the United States?
It absolutely does not, especially if you're a U.S. citizen.
Nothing further.
You may step down as this witness.
If you heard that, let's go back one more time.
Attempting to seek their return or their extradition to the United States from attempting to seek their return or their extradition to the United States.
It absolutely does not, especially if you're a U.S. citizen.
Nothing further.
I was saying that they need that. I mean, it's not important on the grand scheme of things because this is after the whole murder. So of course we get it. Guilty conscience, all those things. The whole extradition is not really important. It's what she did for the crime. This is what they should have been focusing on. that part. So they got the divorce part right. Okay, this testimony is helpful because it still gives, it's not as actually I will put it up there. It is as helpful to have this testimony come in regarding the extradition country, because even though she made that search, it doesn't mean that she can't be extradited. But it still goes to a state of mind, because it gives the idea that she was still thinking, okay, if I leave, I'm not going to be extradited. So hearing this doesn't fully exonerate her, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that you get the idea that she may have had knowledge of the search. I probably, I'm probably told her, hey, that's not going to help you. If you're trying to leave and not be extradited, that's not going to help you. If there was, I don't think they would introduce this. But it really depends how you would introduce it, because if they brought in a story to say that she was going through the motions when she was thinking of taking her own life, etc., that she was going through those motions, so she was doing all of those things, I would understand. But we don't have, but I can see why the defense wouldn't bother like going back to the Google search. But it was still a good way to handle that whole scenario. Taking a trial, Sweet P Diamond, welcome to the stream. Happy Wednesday to you too. I saw that you were covering the Cardi B trial, so yeah, that case was wild. Yeah, So, but yeah, welcome to the stream. The next witness was what's her name? Sarah Newhouse. And her testimony was stupidly short. In fact, I don't even know why they called. Sarah Newhouse was the last witness, and she was a victim advocate for law enforcement. She did not do anything other than testify that Wendi had called when Wendi. They tried to bring in the recording of Wendi speaking about the call to Donna. And the defense tried to bring that in, but it was barred under hearsay, so they couldn't bring her in to basically hear what she had to say. And all she gave testimony to was Wendi sounding shocked and seemed like it was the first time that she had heard that Dan Markel was killed. So I don't know what this does, because she was already seen at Dan's house before she was being interviewed. She was already there. We have this cell site activity to place her there. We have the receipts at the fine wine. Why would you go and buy wine? It's to me, when I saw that receipt, I was thinking, she is celebrating that all of this. Like, why would you buy wine? Why would you do that? Anyway, but this was the last testimony. And remember yesterday where we were talking about they have to recall the jailhouse witnesses. They have to bring those guys back to the stand and go through and just go through follow through with all the foundation that they had set with the investigators. Yet they didn't call them. It makes no sense why you brought in those investigators then, because that's what I'm thinking that you would do. Bring those jailhouse people back to come and give testimony and get more information about how they got to know Kathryn McBanoa. It was there. What did Kathryn say to you? Inquire a bit more. Of course, these are jailhouse snitches, so if they were to say something more, you could just be like, you told us when the state was on, you never told us this new information. Where did this come from? Are you lying now, or are you telling the truth back then? Which one? Like, there is no, like, I don't know why they didn't call back those jailhouse snitches, when he came out on cross-examination from Eddie Vaughn's testimony, that Kathryn McBanoa had told Patricia that she was extorting Charlie. What is going on with this defense? But nonetheless, they rested there, and Donna chose not to testify. She asked for more time to think about it. The judge was probably being way too nice to even offer 5 minutes, but he offered 5 minutes, and Donna chose not to testify. And I have words, because I thought you should have testified. Like, honestly, a lot of the evidence that has come out about Donna, I'll be very honest, I should be asking this question. Let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys in regards to what you guys think of the jury verdict. The jury verdict will be. I should have asked you guys from the beginning. Yeah, that I would have known a lot more. But I'm good. Like I said, I'm going to be going through the timeline, as well as I'm going to be going through the timeline of events after now that we have done with the presentation of, now that we've gone through all of the witness testimonies. But yeah, what do you think the jury verdict is going to be like? Because end of the day, I still think that, in my opinion, that a lot of the information in regards to Donna in this particular case is, I'm not going to say circumstantial. Well, yeah, it is circumstantial at best, but at the same time, it needs more context. Like, why are you telling Patricia Bird this particular information? She could have testified to that. Why are you telling what was going on with the jailhouse mates? Because end of the day, I don't think people trust jailhouse snitches in general. I don't think juries actually put stock in what goes on. I still hold the belief that the jury are going to go into that deliberation room, and they are going to look at this and be like, we're just going to focus on the facts that has been presented, to us, and not focus on the testimony. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, let's just go through the timeline of events. I have left the link in the description so that you guys can go and check it out yourself. If you want to have the full context in display, I am going to update this now that all the evidence is in. But this is the current timeline of events. So on the 9th was when the divorce had begun. When Wendi was basically communicating with Donna in regards to filing for divorce. And on the 12th, Wendi actually filed for the divorce. On the 5th, Wendi files for a dissolution of marriage. I'm surprised we didn't get to hear what that actually means. And then she, on the 10th of December 2012, Wendi sends an email to Donna Adelson in regards to edits for the motion for relocation. Then on the 17th of January 2013, Donna emails Wendi informing her that she was pre-screened, that she had pre-screened men for her to date. This was when that she had made that dating profile for her that we heard from Wendi not using, and again showing Donna's over involvement in their kids' life. You know, normal mom stuff. On the 21st of February 2013, Dan Markel complains to Wendi saying that she's using the kids as porn. On the 27th of February 2013, Donna emails Wendi that she was working on the petition and response to Dan Markel filing the objection to the relocation motion. On the 13th of March 2013, Jeff Lacasse meets Kathryn McBanoa and Charlie Adelson on vacation whilst with Wendi Adelson. So this is when Dan also meets. This is when Dan also meets her. Dan was also there. I should say. Donna Adelson on April 2023, Donna emails Wendi saying she hates the father of her kids. On the 2nd of May 2013, Dan files its memorandum of law to support its opposition to the kids' relocation motion. On the 2nd of May 2013, Wendi had forwarded an email to Donna regarding his filing of the memorandum of law. Early March 2013, going back a bit, should I put it here? I will definitely have to fix that. But that's when Jeff and Wendi began dating. 22nd of May 2013, Donna emails Wendi calling Dan Markel a jackass for wanting to depose her. Then on the 11th of June 2013, Donna and Wendi showing Dan Markel's travels in support of Wendi's argument that Dan Markel is not a present father. On the 18th of June 2013, mediation between Dan and Wendi regarding the finalization of the divorce. This was when it was actually finalized. And on the 21st of June 2013, this is when the motion for relocation was denied with prejudice, and we got to hear testimony in regards to them, in regards to the parties discussing this motion for relocation, and both parties already knowing that the judge was going to deny it. On the 24th of June 2013, Donna messages her friend about the order, saying that there was no physical abuse as alleged, so it is denied. And 25th of June 2013, Donna Adelson emails Wendi saying that she's not giving up and Wendi shouldn't give up either. On the 13th of July 2013, Wendi and Dan Markel's divorce was finalized. So there was no more, so at this point, there was no more, they had agreed on the assets, they agreed on all of those things and finalized the divorce and reached a settlement, basically. On the 31st of October 2013, Charlie approaches Kathryn with his lawyer, asking her if she knows someone that can take care of people. This came from Kathryn McBanner's testimony, as well as Chris Sanford, I believe. On the 13th of December 2013, Wendi changes counsel for divorce due to Dan Markel's allegations. So this was we heard testimony, and this was when he was alleging fraud, and this was when Kristin had to leave, had to stop representing Wendi and became a witness. Post divorce, so after divorce had been finalized, on January 2014, a schedule for Wendi taking the kids from Dan Markel for the period of 11th of July to 17th of July was established. This is very important because we got to hear testimony later on about Wendi asking about this schedule, even though it was already given to her. On the 21st of April 2014, Wendi appeared to Jeff Lacasse looking intoxicated and acting erratic. So that was weird. On the 15th of May 2014, there was a hearing to resolve issues pertaining to the settlement agreement. This is when the attempt of the hitmen started on the 2nd of June 2014. This was the rental. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but this was when this was when Kathryn McBanua, Sigfredo Garcia, I believe this was Sigfredo Garcia, Charlie Adelson had been in communication in regards to hiring the Nissan Altima. The reason why the Nissan Altima is very important here is because it looked like Jeff Lacaze's car, as Jeff Lacaze had basically gave testimony to. Then on the 4th of June 2014, we heard from Luis Rivera, who basically said that him and Sigfredo Garcia had tracked Dan Markel to the school, but they didn't kill him. And then this was the same day, coincidentally, Wendi appeared to Jeff Lacaze looking intoxicated and acting erratic based on Jeff Lacaze's testimony. On the 5th of June 2014, the Nissan Altima rental had expired and it was returned. On the 6th of June 2014, Donna begins to call the children the Adelsons at their residence. So they were already... So you can guess that at this time that Donna had no idea that the hits did not go well. Only Wendi had an idea. And then the second rental for the second attempt, on the 1st of July 2014, Sigfredo Garcia had called Harvey Adelson for 1 minute 30. I don't know. I thought that this was weird, and this is where I started thinking that maybe, just maybe, Harvey could be indicted, because I don't know how Sigfredo has Harvey Adelson's number. We also heard testimony in regards to Sigfredo confronting Kathryn and Charlie Adelson, and Sigfredo also leaving a voicemail on Harvey Adelson's phone at 5 p.m. that same day. Charlie also leaves angry voicemails on Kathryn's phone. We don't know what that's about, but based on the timeline that we've just went through of the first attempt, it could just be that news had traveled back to the Adelsons, and I'm inferring, speculating, I have no idea, but news traveled back that they did not complete the job, and now everyone is mad. That's what I'm guessing based on the timeline. On the 5th of July 2014, Harvey, this was Harvey's birthday, explains the Evite that they had, and they meeting on the 6th of July 2014, and the idea was they were planning the second attempt here. On July 2014, no date was really given, but Wendi and Jeff Lacaze had broken up. On the 11th of 17, from the period of the 11th and of July to 2004, 11th to the 17th of July 2014. Damn it. Wendi had cancelled a trip that was booked for this particular period due to issues with Dan Markel. So she cancelled a trip for that both her and Jeff had. And on the 11th of 18 July to 2014, Jeff Lacaze spends time at the Adelson residence and says that the TV was shattered. So this was likely after the 6th of July 2014 meeting about, they said that, well, they didn't really give a specific date of when the TV was shattered, but we only know that the TV appointment was on the 18th of July. Moving on. On the 15th of July 2014, this was when the Prius was rented, etc. So the whole timeline there in regards to Harvey calling the Adelsons after confirming that the Prius was rented, etc. And we know that it was Donna speaking to Charlie all this time because Harvey had called the Adelson residence as well at 7:22. On the 17th of July 2014, Charlie, this was a day before the murder. There was a lot of calls between Charlie and Donna, as well as Kathryn and Sigfredo Garcia. Also calls between Charlie and Kathryn after she had, I would assume, Sigfredo had told her that everything is set, and they are relaying, and they were saying, hypothetically, they were telling each other what was to happen on the 18th. So this was on the 18th of July. This was the day that they were supposed to get the TV fixed, and they had cancelled. And we don't know the exact date of the deletion, but it was actually deleted. But the calendar fixed event for the TV was actually deleted, but it was there for this particular date. Wendi calls Donna on this particular day. We also when he calls Donna at 8:09, Donna was calling Wendi as well, speaking at this. So you have to wonder, and this is where the defense was trying to say in regards to where is Donna's location, because Wendi would not have been in the house, so why would she be calling Donna? And also, where is Charlie's location? Because I believe you will see here as well, because Charlie was calling Donna at 9:38, so he cannot be at the same location. So is Donna at the residence, or is Donna with Charlie? So that was what I believe that the defense was trying to say, that they should have been presenting the cell activity for Donna as well for this particular date, but that didn't happen. They should have presented the cell activity for Charlie on this day, but that didn't happen. But they only presented it for after the hit was done. You could have presented it as well if it was exculpatory. You could have requested it. But anyway, so those were all the events that happened before the hit, because the hit had occurred on the hit occurred at 10:45 to 10:51 a.m. After being tracked by Garcia and Luis Rivera. So after the hit, Wendy's vehicle was seen near the blockade around 12:35 to 12:45, and she went to ABC Fine Wine at 12:49. Don't know why you would go there and buy items, but I don't know. Anyway, detectives also performed a non-custodial interview on this particular day. I believe it was 2 p.m. I need to update that, but I didn't have it in my notes. So, but I would definitely have to look back on that and be certain and just quick give an update. Anyway, Kathryn also messages Charlie on this particular day, discussing about meeting at the house. This is when Donna enters the fray and messages Charlie to call us ASAP. This was when supposedly the money exchange had gone on, and Donna also exchanges messages when she had left the house, saying that they had gone to stay at the Hilton Garden Hotel. And Kathryn, on the 19th, a day after the murder, Kathryn leaves Charlie's house at 9:44 after spending the night. Luis Rivera and Katie, which is Kathryn, tried to reach Sigfredo, but there was no cell signal. This means, or likely means, that he had dumped the phone. I should delete that part. This is not important. On the 10th of August 2014, Kathryn Mabanua starts receiving monthly checks from the Adelson Institute. 19th of October 2015, Charlie messages Kathryn informing her that he bought her plane tickets for her and her mom to go to Santo Domingo. On the 31st of March 2016, the monthly payments from Adelson Institute to Kathryn Mabanua stops at this point. Then on the 19th of April 2016, undercover agent initiates the bump on Donna Adelson at 1:47, and this is where we start getting the wiretap messages. So on the 20th, Kathryn Mabanua and Charlie meets at the Dolce Vita restaurant on the 21st of April 2016. This is when Kathryn was speaking with Sigfredo, giving the undercover agent's number. And Charlie also speaks with Kathryn on this particular day, allegorizing that it could be a blackmail. And on the 23rd of April 2016, the undercover agent sends a letter to the Adelson residence saying that we know about title. And then from this day, Charlie calls Kathryn McVanoa. On the 25th of 2016, that's when they were supposed to meet at the marina, but the police went there, but they didn't see them there or intercept because they had met at a different location. And Charlie and Harvey meets the undercover agent at Masui restaurant. This was after they were unable to locate him with Kathryn. Charlie also calls Donna at 10:48 p.m. She was speaking with June Chinda at this point. She was part of the call, from what I saw. Anyway, on the 26th of April 2016, Kathryn McVanoa calls Sigfredo Garcia. All of the calls are there, but that was after the FBI, and this was when they were exchanging the information that this person is continuing to harass the family, that they had met at the restaurant, all of those things. Then on the 27th of April 2016, Charlie calls Kathryn, informing her. Charlie calls Kathryn, offering her gifts and other promises. He also calls Donna on this particular day, informing her that no call was made. That the call was made, but there was no answer. So at this point, this is where the defense was also making their point that Donna had no idea what was going on in regards to what Charlie and Kathryn were doing. That he was telling Donna that Charlie don't, like, I personally think that this might come up in the defense closing, that Charlie was basically telling Donna that they had called the phone, but there was no answer when they didn't call the phone at all. And then Charlie was telling Kathryn at the same time to flush the problem, which basically means that they know that it's an undercover agent. And then Garcia calls the institute after saying flush the problem. So this was when Garcia calls the institute and says that he left the paperwork, gives the number of the undercover agent, and then on the 28th, Charlie and Donna had spoken about this call in regards to Garcia leaving the number for them, and he also tells her that it's likely that there's a likelihood that they're being investigated. So on the 29th, Kathryn calls Charlie, where Kathryn was asking him for a Range Rover. So this was to go through what Marissel was basically testifying to, saying that she was receiving gifts and all those other things from Charlie. And then on the 30th of April 2016, I'm gonna try and hurry up because this has been a long recap, but let me try and hurry up. The undercover agent sends Donna Adelson a text message saying, you don't think I'm serious, you don't take me serious. Charlie calls Kathryn at 9 a.m. saying that he has the gifts ready and all those things, and Charlie calls Donna at 6 a.m. to let her know to get rid of the blackmailer, suggesting she pays him $10K. So at this point, I did miss out one part. Yeah, this is the part I missed out. On the 28th, Charlie had actually called the undercover agent and expresses that he doesn't know who Tado and all those people are. So the fact that he called the undercover agent and then goes back on the 30th and tells Donna to go and pay off the blackmailer, even though he knows that it was a pig, this is where I think that the defense are going to hone in on and try to say that Donna had no idea that Donna was actually left in the dark by Charlie. That Charlie was basically telling her that everything is all right. That and even though there was communication with Garcia to Donna, to Donna's to the Adelson Institute, that all of that was to basically give the idea that that they knew that it was likely an undercover agent. But even with that, he still went on to say, get rid of the blackmailer. Now, this could be me misunderstanding the code talk that they were speaking in regards to the Garcia part, and Garcia calling the Adelson Institute. That could be me. That could be me not understanding the lingo of what goes on there. So don't take my word for it. But I really do believe that Charlie actually calling Donna, suggesting that that she should pay him $10,000, etc., could be what the defense are going to focus on, and just say, yeah, Charlie was the one that was actually all behind this, and Donna thought that he was handling the blackmailer. That Donna thought that he was that basically Donna had left that to him to basically handle, and when he came back to her to basically say, pay him $10,000, do all of this, that's when Donna even decides to call the blackmailer on the 5th and tell him to go for the reward, because she wouldn't need to do that if he had taken care of it, So that's what I understood, and that's why I think she is going to, and that's what I think their closing arguments is going to be centered around. Then on the 5th of May, Donna calls Charlie after letting him know in regards to what happened with the blackmailer. Trent Briggs, welcome back. I don't like Georgia at all. I felt each to their own. But personally, I do think that she's a good lawyer. I just think that the state just had great facts to play with. That's all I think. But I mean, I don't feel bad for Donna, because if she actually did speak to those jailhouse snitches, if she did speak to jailhouse snitches and just told them everything as if they're their best friends, I don't feel bad for you. You deserve that. For being so naive. But anyway, on the 16th of May, payments from Charlie Adelson stops. Payments from Charlie to Kathryn stops. And Sigfredo Garcia was also arrested on this particular day, on the 16th. 21st of July 2016 was when Kathryn, Charlie, and Charlie's attorney had met up. Charlie messages Donna also about the meeting that they had. On the 1st of October 2016, Kathryn McBanoa was arrested. On the 16th of October 2016, Louis Rivera pleaded no contest to second-degree murder. On the 11th of October 2019, Sigfredo Garcia was found guilty of first-degree murder. In 2021, Kathryn McBanoa meets Patricia Bird in prison and told her about extorting Charlie. On the 21st of April 2022, Charlie was arrested. On the 1st of August 2022, Kathryn McBanoa was found guilty of first-degree murder. On the 26th of October 2023, Charlie Adelson's trial begins. On the 1st of November 2023, Donna messages Wendi at 7:22 a.m. saying that her testimony is crucial and she is next, but she will take care of that. We heard that testimony, and Donna was also messaging a whole host of people saying that the truth is coming out. On the 6th of November 2023, Donna messages Wendi saying that Charlie was telling the truth and they should pray. Charlie Adelson was also convicted on this particular day. On the 7th of November 2023, Charlie calls Donna from prison, asking about Wendi. Donna also messages Annie Cunningham expressing disappointment in regards to the verdict. Wendi messages Donna informing her to communicate only through her legal team if she wants to speak. So many theories with that, because now I really believe that with these communications from the 1st to the 6th, Wendi was not replying. So Wendi jumped ship. That's my own opinion. She had jumped ship. After the trial on the 7th of November, Donna searches for countries without extradition, and she also applies for a tourism visa to Vietnam. Then on the 8th, Donna cancels Amazon deliveries. Search on the 13th. That's when she was arrested. On the 23rd, her residence was searched. On the 14th of January 2024 was the kid's bar mitzvah event. On the 30th of August 2024, private investigator interviews Patricia Bird. And then on the 24th of January, medicine specialist interviews Patricia Bird. And I'm going to update all of this so that you guys can have the up-to-date information. But that is the timeline of events, and that is all that look. This stream has gone on for way longer than I would have. I desire. I try to keep this under 1 hour to 30 minutes, but there was a lot to go through today. And in all fairness, I hope that everyone that are watching are more informed, are all caught up if they were unable to watch the full trial for whatever reason. I agree. Donna's lawyers are awful, and she deserves better. Honestly, I don't like to see bad representation, and I have never seen a representation this bad. I really can't cast my mind back. Apart from, even Elaine done a much better job, and I share this sentiment as well, that Donna should have testified. I don't think there could have been any harm that could have been done than what's already done from the state's presentation of the case. All they're going to do is just ask her more questions in regards to the wiretaps and all those things. But end of the day, a lot of the evidence that has come out it's all like they are from unreliable sources. I am more surprised that Donna didn't testify, and they just didn't call the jailhouse just back up and cross-examine them. And direct examine them, like actually get the information from them. Maybe they were afraid that the prosecution were going to make them hostile witnesses. I have no idea. I don't have any idea, but in all fairness, I am more disappointed by the representation. I thought they started off well, but they really gave up, in my opinion. They really gave up. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it could have been so much better. So let me go and check the poll. People are saying so 66% of you says guilty and 33% of you said not guilty. I would love, the people, I can guess who probably said not guilty, and that's Trent. But that's probably Trent. But in all fairness, I think that the jury have enough to go for a guilty verdict. I just don't see them choosing any other verdict. I just don't see it. But there are things I really would have liked the defense to at least. We saw from the Karen Reed trial. That is competent defense, where they went above and beyond in the retrial to show the ARCA witnesses to try and say that they didn't have to do that. They really did not have to do that, but they did. So why couldn't this defense just bring in the cell tower activity, just subpoena it, bring it in? Why did they not pursue that witness that apparently didn't want to cooperate with it? What is actually going on? So that's my query. We even saw with the Nicholas Cassotis trial where the facts was overwhelmingly bad, and yet he still had a very competent defense. Like you put Doug Weinstein in this particular case, and I think you there could be like he could have made a lot more out of this. So yeah, like they should have called to give they should have called someone back to try and to give themselves more time. Yeah, like absolutely. Like, I mean, they could have asked for that witness to go and now subpoena her, but they already said at the start. I don't know why they said that, but they always said at the start, we are no longer going to be pursuing her. So they could have just, I don't know. I hate this case because I just don't like to see. I personally don't like to see defendants, no matter who they are, no matter how bad the evidence is. I just don't like to see poor representation. You should always defend your client to the very end. And it just, to me, it really does seem like these guys just literally just gave up and they had nothing to fight for. I don't know if that was due to Donna's actions behind the scenes. I have no idea if they just thought she was a massive. But even so, I don't know. Well, that witness is currently on leave, so not even around. Apparently. Okay. Oh yeah, they did. What am I saying? They did actually say that. Yeah, they did actually say that. Yeah. So but they could have used that. They still could have used that to stall and give Wendi more advice to basically take the stand. Maybe I don't know. In regards, they definitely have proof that Charlie did all this. They definitely have proof more to Charlie. The only thing that has come out that I would say was only bad for Donna is the jail snitches. I have always said that from the beginning. The jail snitches is where it's very bad for her. Outside of that, not really. But yeah, Drina not being brought back. I mean, Drina, grand piano, veneers. You don't get to ask a question in regards to this. What was the circumstances that Donna was asking you? Why would you need a grand piano? Why would she offer you a grand piano? Okay, why would she offer you a brand new set of veneers? How do you know Kathryn McBanoa? What did Kathryn McBanoa say to you? Right. But anyway, Charlie's lawyer was better, even though he still lost. I mean, I have to watch that case. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. I hope that you guys have got a good value from this particular stream and have enjoyed. I think we hit, I can't remember, but I think we hit 38 viewers at one point. So I appreciate every single one of you that are tuned in to basically watch this with me and recap through this. I'm gonna go on stream once again once I have updated the timeline and go through the closing statements and just summarize the case as a whole. So yeah, so it's not really over yet. So we'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. same time for this particular trial. I hope that everyone has enjoyed themselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you hit that like button as well as the subscribe button. The grand piano was definitely funny, absolutely. But yeah, hit that like button. Pour your sauce all over that like button. Make sure that you become a taste maker and hit that join button as well. Become a member of the channel and be one of the taste makers here. And yeah, that is one way to support the channel. Also check out ketchupcourt.info where you can get all of my notes and scribblings of this trial. If you were unable to watch all of the recaps, but I like to do these recaps live so that I can interact with all of you, and I love the contribution from the chat. Anyway, I'll leave it there. See you all tomorrow for the closing arguments. I go by the name of Hines, and thank you so much for tuning in for the Catch Up Court podcast. See you guys next time. Bye for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another Catch Up Court live stream. Make sure that you smash that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button to be notified of our future live streams. We go live regularly, bringing you case updates and recaps of ongoing trials, so make sure you hurry back on the next live stream. We also have more content on the channel that you can binge on. Check out the playlist that we have showcasing all of these contents. Without further, I go by the name of Hines, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and I'll see you